I want to move on to this one and get everybody to weigh in about 15 seconds each. This is from the Daily Mail. This is a piece from Emily Goodwin. Very interesting. The headline reads in part, how vengeful Jill Biden is urging depressed Joe to burn the whole thing down in their final days. It reads in part, Jill views Democrats on Capitol Hill, the wider party, the Obama staff inside and outside the White House, the media, and all of Washington, D.C. with such misguided resentment that I can't imagine she isn't encouraging Joe to burn the whole thing down despite his better judgment. That, according to an insider. Lindy, to you first. 15 seconds each, roughly. Your thoughts on what Emily Goodwin had to say.
She's totally right. And we can see that happen when Joe forcefully came out inside of insider trading. It took him 50 years to get to that point. But you know why he did that? Because he still has a bone to pick with Nancy Pelosi. He's still very angry that he got summarily pushed aside. And he's finally saying that no one in Congress should be able to trade on the inside information. And you know who's notorious for that? Nancy Pelosi. Absolutely. The Pelosi tracker online.
Boy. We got to talk about more Democrat Party infighting and drama, because Miss Lindy Li, who was a DNC finance woman, right? Her job was to raise money on behalf of Democrats. Miss Lindy Li has been on a crusade against Democrats because she feels betrayed, right? Her and her donors who want the Democrats to be held accountable for wasting billions of their dollars. Okay, Kamala Harris raised about $1.5 billion and ended up $20 million in debt. Okay, what Miss Lindy Li is calling for is the kryptonite of the Democrat Party, which is accountability, right? They cannot stand to be held accountable for their actions, right? They fear that the most because they have their attack dog, Mr. Roland Martin, right, coming out and going after Miss Lindy Li for trying to actually help the Democrat Party, because that's essentially what she's doing, right? But Lindy Li has found out real quickly what everybody knew about the Democrats for the longest time now, which is that if you disagree with the Democrats even 1%, especially if you come out and you turn against them as a Democrat, okay, they'll throw you away real quick, like a used condom, okay? Quick, fast, and a hurt, okay? And that's what's happened to Miss Lindy Li.
People have called me the W word. I don't know what we're allowed to say, but you can fill in the blank.
We're uncensored. Let's say it. Say it. Say what the word was.
Am I allowed to?
Yeah.
Well, they called me a whore. They called me the C word. They asked
Disgusting.
for me to be deported. And you can just search for my name in those terms on X and you'll see a bunch of them. So, all these so-called Democrats, the party of inclusion, the party of diversity, masks off. And it's even worse because they pretend to occupy the moral high ground. They pretend to be, so loving and caring and embracing of diversity. But all of a sudden, when I dare to utter any criticisms of the goddess, Kamala Harris, I get ostracized. Me, after having raised tens of millions of dollars for the party. My donors are pissed. They raised $2.5 billion across Super PAC in the campaign. It's my responsibility. It's my duty of care to ask what the hell happened with that money? Why did we spend it? Why did we spend millions of dollars on five-star hotels for campaign staffers? Why did we spend $500,000 essentially bribing Al Sharpton moments before he interviewed Kamala? These are legitimate questions, but no, in the cult, you can't ask questions.
Yeah.
And leaving the Democratic Party or even questioning the Democratic Party is like leaving a cult. It's terrifying. Piers, I don't want that. I don't want to be a part of this tent. I don't want to be a part of this craziness anymore. They're accelerating my rightward shift. I don't want this nonsense. It's just crazy. And honestly, they're shrinking their tent. They're basically telling me to they're pushing me to bring my tens of millions of dollars that I've raised and can continue to raise to a different team that treats me better, that treats me with just common decency, that doesn't call me a communist spy. By the way, the communist regime in China killed my great-grandfather. They don't know my family's history. This is the first time I'm really saying it on air. They are calling me a spy for the regime that killed my great-grandfather. Let that soak in just for a second. That's how disgraceful they are. Yeah. And these are the people who call themselves the social justice warriors. They are dabbling. They are going head first into racism anytime someone dares to disagree with them. I don't want to be a part of this nonsense anymore. I want to be a part of the team that says men are men and women are women, and then men shouldn't play in women's sports. And I'm an athlete myself. I'm a marathon runner.
She's been getting attacked and smeared by the left because of her honesty about the Democrat Party and why they lost to Trump. So I want to react to Roland Martin doing what he's paid to do, right? Which is to attack anybody who goes after Democrats. So without further ado, let's get to it.
But can y'all explain to me, with all of the drama, with Biden dropping out July 21st, Harris having 107 days. By the way, the Biden campaign was broke as hell. The money she raised saved their asses. They got within 1.6% of winning. One of the closest margins in 2 decades. And these people are acting like, oh my God, the world just came crashing down. Oh my God, what do we do? Could anybody have predicted the impact of October 7th in Israel, in Gaza, and Hamas on the election? Nope. The reality is Joe Biden was not popular among young people. He wasn't popular among black people.
Yeah, and Kamala Harris wasn't either, right? She wasn't popular among young people, and she wasn't popular among black people either, right? So she wasn't really an upgrade over Joe Biden, right, when it comes to those categories, to be honest with you. However, what Roland Martin is trying to articulate here is this idea that, well, hey, the sky is not falling. The Democrats don't really need to reevaluate due to the fact that Kamala almost won, right? It was a close election, which, you know, really, it wasn't that close considering how Trump won 312 electoral votes, right? I mean, he thoroughly beat Kamala Harris in the electoral college. But the reality that smart people realize is that why in the world did Kamala Harris get beat at all, right? Like that, what smart people are realizing is that everything is rigged in favor of the Democrats. The media is rigged in favor of Democrats. They came after Trump with criminal persecutions, right? I mean, they got some BS conviction against him in the courts. They've been smearing the man for the past 8 years straight. Every single day on the mainstream liberal media is 24/7 Trump derangement. With everything working in their favor, the favor of the Democrats, the question a lot of people are asking is, how did they lose at all, right? Because let's be real, if the media was fair, if the media was neutral, if they were actually journalistic, if they weren't spinning propaganda on behalf of the Democrats, right? Covering up their scandals, lying about the state of the country, the economy, the border, inflation, crime. If they weren't doing all these things, if they covered Democrats fairly, do you think the election would have been this close? Right? Let's be real. Trump would have won by a whole lot more. So if you consider the fact that everything is skewed in favor of Democrats and they still lost, that makes Kamala's loss to Trump even worse. Worse than it is on paper. And see, that's what people like Roland don't realize. But smart people in the Democrat Party realize that, yo, we should be ashamed that we lost to Trump.
The fact of the matter is, he was old. And he showed it. And he looked feeble. And America likes to project strength. But you know what is the worst thing to happen right now? When you have weak, sorry, pathetic, feckless, and impotent Democrats, including individuals who were members of the DNC's Finance Committee, who have nothing of value to add. They're not crafty. Lindy Li isn't trying to say, hey, how do we craft a game plan to win governor's mansions in 2025? How do we craft a game plan to win the Wisconsin Supreme Court race in 2025? How do we make sure that Democrats keep control of the House in Virginia in 2025? How do we craft a plan to win the seats needed in 2026 in the midterms? No, all she's doing is taking her bony ass on Fox News, bitching and moaning about, oh my God, how this was so awful, how things were ran. She has nothing of value to add. Nothing.
See, here's what Roland is missing. And this type of mentality, I hope the Democrats adopt this. Right? I hope Democrats listen to people like Roland. Right? Please, because that will guarantee they will continue to lose. Okay? Lindy Li's job is not to tell the Democrat Party how to win races. That's not her job. Her job is to raise money. It's the Democrats' job to go to the donors and explain, hey, this is how we're going to win our races, right? This is the game plan. See, Roland Martin clearly is confused. He's expecting a financer, to come up with game plans on how to fix the Democrat Party. That's not how this works at all. That's not how this works at all. And see, this is what I'm talking about. Democrats hate accountability because that's the only thing that Lindy Li is saying. Democrats need to be held accountable. They raise money from people, and they clearly did not have a good game plan for winning. They did not have a good strategy for winning, and people want answers because they gave money to Democrats thinking that they would be competent, but they weren't. So instead of asking the Democrat Party to reevaluate, which is something they clearly need to do, they should be asking themselves, how in the world did we screw this up? No. It's the people's fault who got screwed over, right? It's their fault, right? That they're complaining. They shouldn't complain about the fact that Democrats screwed around with their money. They should complain about that. They need to be coming up with the solutions. So the donors should finance the Democrat Party, no questions asked, right? Donate money, and also come up with a game plan to win. Fascinating. But see, the reason why Roland is saying this is because Roland is one of these individuals who doesn't believe that Democrats lost due to the fact that the economy is not in great shape. They lied about the border. The border's wide open. It was not closed. Okay, crime is not down. Crime is up, right? That people are genuinely dissatisfied with the current state of this country, okay? And the Democrats. He doesn't accept that. He thinks that Kamala Harris lost because of white fear, because of race, racism, hate, bigotry. That's why she lost. She didn't lose because she was a bad candidate, that she was very robotic in her interviews. She couldn't answer basic questions about anything at all outside of her script. She spent most of her campaign running and hiding from the media. And also on top of that, she, again, has a bad track record, right? Just a really, really, really bad track record, okay? It wasn't any of those things in Roland's eyes. It was racism. And when you default to racism was the problem, then essentially what you're saying is that, well, it's not the Democrats' fault, right? It's those racist whites. It's their fault. So now it's not about fixing the Democrat Party. It's about fixing other people, right? It's other people who need to change, right? Not the Democrats. Which means there is no self-evaluation for Democrats. Democrats don't change anything at all. And that is where the mindset of blaming racism gets you. You can't self-improve. There's nothing that Lindy Li said that was incorrect, right? Everything she says is extremely valid. What she's saying is way more helpful than blaming racism. Because if you blame racism, again, there's no real solution for that. You're not fixing that. So you're not doing any real self-evaluation. You're not improving. You're not getting better, right? And this applies to life as well, too. This is why I try to tell you guys about when you face adversity in life, you're better off self-evaluating and trying to improve your own skills or your own behavior or some of the weaknesses that you may have rather than the boohoo, whine, and cry racism. Because boohoo, whine, and cry racism is not going to help you. Looking inward and evaluating what you may have did wrong things that you can get better at that will help you. And you're seeing that mindset play out right here when it comes to the Democrat Civil War. You have one woman who happens to be Asian, by the way, right? Again, it's funny how that works. Asian woman says, no, Democrats need to self-evaluate. Stop blaming everybody else because they messed up when it comes to these things. The woke black man comes along and says, no, it's racism, right? Racism is the problem. So I personally believe that if the Democrats decide to listen to Lindy Li, they'll have a chance. But if they decide to listen to Roland, they'll have no chance whatsoever. I'm just saying, right? I'm just saying. I think Lindy Li here is actually doing the Democrat Party a favor.
And then she wants to sit here and talk about, oh, Jamie Harrison, he's continuing the woke identity. Really? Well, Lindy, name it. Please tell me, what is this woke identity politics? Could you please tell? Because I love it how they throw stuff out. They can't name it. I love it how they say, oh, Democrats, they fail the working class.
You know what's hilarious about this? White dudes for Harris was woke identity politics. Trans people for Harris was woke identity politics. They had segregated fundraising groups for Kamala Harris. That is the woke identity politics that we're talking about. Again, I love how these people try to pretend that Kamala didn't run a woke campaign when everybody around her was running a woke campaign, right? She may not have been overtly woke, okay? But everybody around her was. So through association, right? Kamala Harris ran a woke campaign, 100%. Again, you guys were having segregated fundraising groups. That's pretty woke.
I'm sorry, can you please show me the policies the Republicans have actually passed to benefit the working class? I'll wait. What you see happening right now is what happens when you have weak people who are so desperate for attention that they'll say anything to get it. Because see, if you actually care about winning, you would then be trying to devise plans and strategies to actually win. Instead, little Lindy Li is desperate trying to get her a Fox News contributor job. Because the truth is, she has nothing of value to add. And then she says, oh yes, I'm excited about this. All these things that are happening with the economy. Lindy, do you mean the economy that Biden and Harris fixed? You mean the economy that is on the upswing? Do you mean the first president, the first administration, never to have a negative jobs report in 4 years?
Yeah, a jobs report that basically is fraudulent. Most of these jobs funded by the government, subsidized by the government, part of the reason why we got inflation. Also on top of that, Biden and Kamala Harris did not fix the economy. They screwed up the economy. And now enough time has passed for inflation to cool a little bit, but it's still affecting the American people negatively. So with that being said, again, I think Roland Martin here is confused. It's not Lindy Li's job to tell the Democrat Party how to fix itself. That's the job of the Democrat Party. But what you're saying here is, again, Roland is doing what he's paid to do, which is to attack any Democrat that falls out of line without actually really taking a step back and thinking about the fact that this woman is right, right? And what she's saying actually will take the Democrats a lot further than blaming racism. But hey, the race hustlers fail to realize that. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.